We all want to feel peace in our lives. Peace in our choices, our beliefs, our relationships, and our environment. I've learned that this desired contentment is often found through holding on to less. When we pare down what we own, what we consume, and what we value, we're left with what's intentional, a personalized curation of what is important and true and useful to us. I'm Shannon Leyko, and you're listening to Paring Down, a podcast aimed at helping you declutter not only your home, but any area of your life that's overwhelming. Here, we're having interesting and honest conversations about the physical and mental clutter that drowns out what truly matters to each of us. And together, we'll learn how to pare it all down, not for the sake of perfection or becoming rigid, rather so we can move through life with less overwhelm and more joy, wisdom, and peace. Hey friends, welcome back. I actually felt inspired by the season for today's episode because I got this message. It was a text from my friend who listens to the show, and she said, hey, especially before summer, I find myself compelled and buying all the trendy snack items for the kids because they'll be home all summer. So I need all of the things. And she had kind of been like, could you talk about that on the podcast? Like maybe paring down your grocery shopping or something along those lines. And what her question made me think of was this pitfall we often fall into of having too much backstock or just keeping too much in our house at one time. And especially during the summer, if you are a mom and your kids are home, we tend to fill the house with more stuff to try and entertain them or feed them, as my friend said. And so I was like, ooh, I'm going to talk about this on the pod. So here we are today. Shout out to Leslie. Thank you so much for inspiring this episode, all about the pitfall of too much backstock. So today we're going to talk through the 3 reasons we tend to have a lot of backstock that results in cluttered spaces, which then often in turn becomes wasted food or wasted materials. So backstock can be a little bit dangerous because not only does it clutter up your home, but it can be a big old waste of money too. So I didn't even really know the term backstock until I watched the Home Edit in 2020, and they talked about product and backstock and all of this. And so it's funny to be using it so casually, but basically what backstock is, it's kind of whatever you keep in reserve that has not yet been used. So typically we're talking about consumable items rather than a backstock of clothing that you don't really use or tools that you never use. Those are still a thing. They're definitely still backstock on some level, but today we're talking about mostly backstock in terms of consumables. So food and product that you kind of use up and then you need to buy again. So we tend to kind of store it like little squirrels squirreling away our acorns, our little backstock. I mean, remember when this went wild? Remember during the pandemic when everyone just bought up all the toilet paper? That's backstocking gone wild. I mean, what a time. What a time to be alive, you guys. So anyways, we're going to talk through those 3 reasons we tend to have a lot of backstock. And then we'll talk about why keeping so much backstock within those reasons may not align with a less stressful life, a less cluttered home, or even a more frugal one. So those 3 things are, we are often trying new things, and that leads to a lot of backstock. Number 2 is we buy in bulk to save money. And number 3 is that we tend to buy in sets, even when we only need one thing. So let's start with number 1. This one really ties into that question from Leslie, who said, especially before summer, I find myself compelled in buying all the trendy snack items for the kids because they'll be home all summer. So we're trying new things. We see so much advertising these days, thanks to social media, obviously, whether it's overt or even just via influencers who are making amazingly creative snacks or show you cool cleaning hacks, right? There's always something new we want to try that we think will make our lives better. And maybe some of them will. That's not to say that sometimes it's not great to get awesome ideas from people who are doing things online, right? But generally speaking, we're getting ideas for what to buy to feed our family, what to buy to clean our home. So cleaning products, types of towels, detergents, etc. what to buy to entertain our kids, like art projects, right? That look really awesome. What to buy to keep our kids safe. So, baby proofing, first aid options, all of that. And what to buy to take care of our skin or hygiene. So, different sunscreens and face washes and shampoos. And the list goes on and on and on. And most of those that I mentioned are in that kind of consumable type of item. So we get really excited about trying something new because it really does seem to work so well for someone else. And listen, I am all about making sure you love your routines and switching up your choices in an intentional way, right? Like I think that's great. But the problem is that oftentimes we are tricked into thinking we're making an intentional switch to try something new because it sounds so awesome. But in reality, it's actually an impulse switch based on what's working for someone else. Or maybe it's like a really cool idea, like a craft that you know your kids would love, or a recipe that you know your family would really enjoy, or you would really enjoy. But you don't really consider what you would do with all of the supplies or ingredients that remain once you use the necessary amount for whatever that new endeavor is, right? So let's say it's an art project that requires, I don't know, a lot of pom poms. So you get a big bag of pom poms, and that's probably a terrible example because I feel like there are a million different ways to use pom poms. So at least in my house, but you know, it has something like that, googly eyes, I don't know. And you need a certain amount for that project, but then you don't really think through, how am I going to use the leftovers of this, right? So then those things become clutter either in your pantry, right? If it's ingredients, you just used a little bit of chia seeds for this recipe, and then you have this big bag of chia seeds sitting in your pantry, just waiting to expire, or you know, whatever leftovers in your art closet. Maybe I'll use this again, but like they sit in the art closet for years. So there's that side of it. And then besides the excess leftovers, we also don't know for sure if we're going to actually like something until we try it, right? So that makes trying new things a little bit tricky. So I really encourage you to slow down, truly think it through. Think through what trying this would bring into your home. Like, what does it entail besides just the food, meal, craft, um, hygienic solution, whatever it is, right? I am very like, my brain is on crafts and food right now, but like anything that you're trying, think about what it comes with and what that excess leftovers could look like, or what would it mean for your home if you don't like it, if you don't enjoy using it. Would you be tempted to still keep it because it costs a certain amount of money, and think like, I don't really like this lotion, but I can't get rid of it because it's lotion, right? So the question to really ask yourself first is, are you doing just fine with how things are right now? Because if you are, then avoid the trap of chasing something better, right? So do your kids already like the snacks that you already give them? Like, don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? So can you come up with a craft using what you already have? Or maybe be inspired by a craft that you see, and then go into your craft closet and say, how can we make something similar with what we already have? Can you use up all of your current face wash or shampoo before trying a new brand? That one's really big. I think that we see the advertisement, or we see something and we're like, I don't really love how my shampoo is working for my hair right now. And so we buy this new brand, but we still have the current shampoo we're using, and maybe even one Backstock bottle that we bought at the store last time of shampoo. Just use the shampoo. Like, your hair's not falling out. If your hair's falling out, throw it away. Okay. You know, but like, just use what you already have if it's working okay enough for now, until it's empty, and then you actually need something new. And at that point, you can try something new. But bringing in new stuff to replace the old, but the old doesn't need to be replaced yet, just involves a lot of kind of backstock building up, because odds are you're not going to throw away like a full bottle of unused shampoo on a brand that you're no longer using anymore. And it just gets complicated, right? So ultimately, ask yourself, does this have to happen right now? And is it okay as it already is? Like, do I actually need to introduce this new thing into our lives? And if you want to, that's great too. But make sure you're doing all those considerations of trying something new, of like what that's going to come with. So if you're buying all the cool snacks for your kids, like, does it force you to buy in bulk? Right? Are you having to buy an entire giant box of some certain snack? And then if your kid doesn't even end up liking it, then you have this huge big bulk thing of snacks, which, okay, go ahead and donate to a food pantry. I think that's great. But like, do you really want to waste the money on that? Or if it's, I need all these different ingredients in order to make these, I don't know, flour pancakes that like look like a daisy. using these different things, and you put this kind of thing on the whatever, and you need a cucumber for something, and you're like, what else am I going to do this cucumber? And then it sits and it rots because your kids don't like to eat cucumbers unless they're my daughter, who is an actual rabbit and only eats rabbit food. But think through, what does this involve, and will this make sense for our family? Now, in terms of trying new things, this is a huge trap of our modern society, and it's subscriptions and memberships. They are a big deal these days. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm not talking about subscriptions to buy in bulk yet. We're going to get to that in number 2. But talking about, makeup being sent to you monthly, meal kits being sent to you weekly, minimum monthly orders for specialty cleaning products, all of the different kind of memberships and subscriptions that different products these days and companies kind of require of you. So this is what I say: proceed with caution if you cannot try it without going all in on the membership. You need to know if you actually like it before this membership starts rolling, and you have to remember to cancel it. And that's a lot of mental work, right? That's a lot of remembering. And I think all of us can agree, no one wants to have that hanging over heads. Oh my gosh, I have to remember to quit that, or to not, whatever, right? So just proceed with caution. Is it worth your mental capacity and your space to try something that you have to sign up to receive every single month and remember to quit if you don't like it? Just proceed with caution. Try it if they allow you to just do it one-off. If not, that's something to consider. The other thing to consider too with the subscriptions and memberships is that sometimes you don't get through, even if you like it, like you try it and you like it, you don't get through it fast enough for the subscription to really make sense. And sure, a lot of them let you skip or this or that, but a lot of them don't. And they have every month, if you want to keep your membership and be able to buy this product that you like, you have to spend X amount of money, or you have to, they're going to send it to you every month no matter what, or, it just becomes too much. You have too much coming in. So if you don't use it fast enough at the rate that the company is trying to push it into your home, then I would encourage you to find a similar product that you can just buy one off of, because it saves you money and it saves you the mental load of trying to skip things and deal with a subscription or a membership. And again, I'm not saying that those things are bad. I'm just saying that you should proceed with caution, because they can add to clutter in your home through Backstock, because they're sending you don't need to use it yet. So you put it under the sink and you'll use it when you get through with the bottle or the thing you're already using. And then by that time, then another one comes in and you just have too much Backstock, and it creates a lot of clutter and things expire. And sometimes it doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense for your lifestyle. So there are plenty of options still out there to buy things one off. So that might work better for you, or it might not, but food for thought. All right. Number 2, another reason that we tend to have too much Backstock is buying in bulk. And the reason we buy in bulk, I would say for the most part, is to save money. So from food to toiletries, suburban America is like obsessed with buying in bulk, with the idea that, of course, that you save money. And listen, I'm all about saving money. So I'm not here to tell you that in order to have a more minimal home, you should, spend more money on stuff so that you buy one at a time, right? Like, having a minimal home is not more important than having good finances. That's like not what I'm saying here. That said, I shop at Walmart and I get pretty great prices on things, on most things, I would say. And I've personally made the conscious decision not to shop at bulk stores. I mean, I'll never say never, right? Like, I there's nuance to everything. There's different experiences and different circumstances. So nothing I ever say is to villainize an idea or a concept as a whole. I'm just sharing that I've decided to never shop to not shop at a bulk store, not never, because of a few things. So one of those that you can consider for yourself as well is that I find that the more I store in Backstock, the more I'm likely to waste. I touched on this in point 1. But especially with food, it's just easier to forget what you have when you have a lot in Backstock. Even pantry items that you're like, oh, this will be good for a couple of months, right? Once it starts getting shoved in there, then you're like, oh, do I have tomato paste? I can't remember. And so you buy more tomato paste. And then tomato paste eventually goes bad and you don't use it all in time, right? And the more we have, the harder it is to keep our items organized and to know what we have. those disorganized spaces from just having so much and things kind of getting pushed back and shoved in, the harder it is to really assess what you need so that you're not overbuying the item that you already have. It really is hard to stay organized with that much stuff. So this is just a reminder that like your home is not a store. It's not meant to be. You don't live in a store. You live in a house, and let the store be the store and let your home be the home. And so they can store all the back stock for you, and you go get what you need as it makes sense for your house. For us, we operate weekly. What do I need on a weekly basis? And of course, some things extend longer, like flour and sugar, longer than a week, of course. Oils, the staple items like that. But like generally speaking, like what do I need to get through this week is the extent to what I try and shop for, not just because of like a minimal aesthetic in my fridge or my pantry. I don't have aesthetically pleasing fridges or pantries. Like on an organizational level, does not look like the home edits would. I do it because of functionality and even money wise. I don't want to waste food. I don't want to waste my money. And I want to know what we have so that we can use it and it doesn't go to waste. And, generally we end up spending more in the long run because of those lost and expired items. So it might feel really great that you got this great deal on goldfish. And so you got like 6 boxes of goldfish. But if you don't get through them in time, or your kid changes their mind, which is a different point, but like, you end up losing money because you forget what you have and you buy new things. And so it's actually not saving money. It's just like saving money in theory. So that's kind of like the first reason that I choose not to shop in bulk is that of the waste. The second reason is that sometimes, for some of us, not everything is about money. Sometimes it is just about what functions best for us and our family and how we want to be spending our time. I know this is not true for everyone. If you truly can't afford to buy something one-off at Walmart versus the price of you get it at Costco, like live your life. I support you. But for some of us, think about what you're willing to spend more money on for the sake of convenience. So do you grab your coffee from Starbucks or Dunkin' in the morning? Maybe just sometimes. Do you hire a yard company instead of mowing yourself? Do you stop at the gas station that's closest to your house, even though it's a more expensive one? Like, what ways are you spending money for the sake of making your life easier? So why don't we also then do that in our homes? So those things I just mentioned, like coffee and gas, or yard people, or maybe someone comes in to clean your home, or anything that you're spending money on to make your life easier and to convenience yourself. Most of those are costing a lot more than the discrepancy in prices between a Walmart and a bulk shopping store. So why not make it more convenient for yourself around the house, that if you don't shop in bulk, maybe you have to spend a little bit more money. Again, I don't know the difference between shopping at Walmart and shopping at, BJ's or Costco, but like, you move through life in your home a lot less stressed when you don't have clutter, right? We know the statistic that the clutter in our home, for women in particular, this UCLA study in 2014 showed that our cortisol levels rise with the clutter. So is it worth it to you to shop in bulk to get that savings when it's creating a more stressful environment in your house? Like, is keeping 40 rolls of toilet paper like really worth it to you? Is it worth the stress of having that much backstock cluttering up your closets and cluttering up your home? Because everything you buy takes up space and makes your house feel more crowded. So, consider that as well, that maybe it's not just about money. Maybe it is worth spending the extra, let's say it comes out to an extra $40 a month or something in price differences. I don't know if that's would be the case, but let's say it's that. Is that worth it to you so that you don't live in a cluttered home if financially you can afford that? The third reason I've chosen not to shop in bulk is that we can adjust what we're enjoying in real time. So I kind of started getting into this when it came to the goldfish thing a second ago, but I love walking into my pantry and being able to quickly see exactly what we have and exactly what we need. And I also have a better idea of what my kids are enjoying and wanting to eat right now. So let's say that they're on like a goldfish kick. Okay, so my kids really want goldfish all the time, but we still have Cheerios we need to get through. It's not like I have 3 boxes of Cheerios that are just going to sit there and go bad because my kids have decided they only want goldfish for a snack, right? In our home, we have 1 container of goldfish and 1 bag of Cheerios. So when the goldfish run out, I will go to the store and add goldfish to the list, but they can buckle up and have some Cheerios and work through those as well. I'm not just opening the brand new back stock of goldfish and voila, like they only have goldfish and all the Cheerios go to waste. Or if the Cheerios do go to waste, I'm only wasting like a half a bag that when they've decided that they no longer want Cheerios. I don't have all these boxes of Cheerios going to waste in my pantry because the kids decided they don't like them. You know what I mean? So it's important to remember that like when you don't keep a huge backstock, you can adjust what you're enjoying. Similarly, like I mentioned with a shampoo, right? Like if you don't keep a whole bunch of shampoo backstock, then if you want to try a new brand of shampoo, you don't have all these other backstocks of a brand that you don't want to use anymore, right? So I think that's really important because as humans, we do want to try new things and we want to, and our kids get on different kicks. We get on different kicks of what we're enjoying, right? Like I feel like 6 months ago, I was eating so much cottage cheese that I was like going to turn into a, a curdle. Ew, that's the worst word. Why did I just say that? Well, you know what I mean. Anyways, I always say that to my kids. I'm like, you're going to turn into a banana because I eat so many bananas. But anyways, that's, I was eating a ton of it. I put like avocado and tomato in it and everything but the bagel seasoning. And it was like my favorite snack. And right now, I just don't want cottage cheese. And so it's like, and that transition happened. And it's not like I had 2 tubs of cottage cheese waiting in my fridge for me to eat. I just keep what I needed for the week. So when I decided that I no longer wanted cottage cheese, I just didn't buy it at the store that week. And I didn't have all this food waste, right? It allows us to change our minds because we're human beings and that happens. Okay, off of the bulk train, on to the third reason why we tend to have too much backstock. And that is that we're always buying sets, even if we need one thing. And sometimes this is just like not even our fault. So many things just come in sets. For example, I just released a free list of baby essentials so that new moms don't start off getting completely cluttered because, new moms, generally speaking, are told, you need this, you need this, you need this. And there's just so much stuff. And then they start out their motherhood already cluttered. And it only gets worse as the kids get older and want more and different toys and have different needs and whatever. So I made this baby essentials list. It's a freebie and I will link it in the show notes here. And that's in addition to, I have that Know Your Why worksheet that's free. I will link that again to know your why for decluttering your home. That really helps you keep going when you lose motivation. And then, of course, I have my complete guide to decluttering kids stuff, which is an awesome resource. It's like 30 pages, breaks down 13 different categories of kids stuff with like 2 pages per category to make it really like manageable and challenges and timers. And it's great. So anyways, all of that will be down there. But anyways, this baby essential freebie, when I was making it, I wanted to recommend just 1 silicone bib. Like that's all you need is 1 silicone bib for when they start eating solids. And when I went to Amazon to link it on this essentials list, all of this bibs, it felt like most of them came in sets of 2 or more. And I was like, no, they really only need 1 because the silicone bibs just, you literally rinse off in the sink. It's the easiest thing to clean. You don't need backstock of those. And that's not a consumable backstock, but it's still backstocks. You know what I mean? So another like an example of consumable would be like you need a new travel toothbrush, but they come in packs of 3 to 5. And this relates back a bit to that excess leftovers we talked about in point 1 when you're trying new things. It's just like what's going to be left over when you buy in sets. So just be really aware of buying things that do come in sets. Maybe it makes sense to buy the pack of toothbrushes when you have no backups at all. I get that. Like having 4 or 5 backups of toothbrushes, I think is great. But sometimes, we know we have some at home already in backstock, the right amount of backstock, but we just need one right now because we're on vacation and we forgot our toothbrush or something. Don't buy another pack if there's an option to buy just 1. Even if you're like, well, technically it's a better deal to get these 5, right? It's only $1 more than getting the one that's in a pack of 1 or in a pack of 2. But realistically, you're not saving money if you're only going to use 1. You're not saving money by getting the pack, and that's especially for non-consumables. But generally speaking, like it's okay to spend an extra 50 cents and get 1 toothbrush. right? You don't want to live in this cluttered home where you're just constantly adding more and more and more packs of stuff. And it's just too much. It's not worth the stress in your house, especially when it's something that's very, very low cost like that. Again, this is not to be insensitive to people who do have to be very aware of costs. But in general, I will also say that when you think ahead, when you really plan ahead and do your best not to be rushing through life, hopefully you won't forget certain things and feel the need to buy things last minute. And that often means you're buying things in sets, or you're buying things that you already have at home. This can be the same thing for like sunscreen, razor blades, sponges. If you already have enough in Backstock and you just need one for whatever situation that you're in, just buy one. You don't have to buy a pack every single time. And this also goes back to knowing what you already have. So if you have so much that you cannot do a quick scan or inventory, that is a sign that you're wasting money on repetitive purchases. And it's really time to declutter and slow down buying until you're aware of what is inside your home, so that you know, oh, I do already have 6 toothbrushes at home. I know I don't need to buy another one, right? If you're not sure how many you have or where they are or whatever, that is definitely a sign that you probably have too much and you are not decluttered. So just keep that in mind as well. Like, you should be able to do like a quick inventory, look around your pantry, look under your sink, or just you've done that often enough that you know exactly what you own. When we don't know what we own, it's usually because we own too much and our brain can't remember everything. And that's when we get these repetitive purchases. And I just want to say again on this whole idea of like, if you're only going to use one, you're not saving money by getting the pack. For non-consumables, I have an example here is like, I don't need to get the pack of headbands for my daughter because she really only needed one. Like, she only wanted one headband or whatever it is. And so the more options is not better. I'm not saving money by giving her 5 headbands when she only needs one pink headband to be happy. I mean, she doesn't even need one pink headband to be happy, but you know what I mean? Like, I would rather spend the $3.50 on the one headband that she absolutely loves with the glitter on it than the $5 for 5 headbands made of plastic that she probably wouldn't like as much anyway. And they create a lot of clutter and they're annoying to try and store in an organized fashion in the closet. I'm not saving money. In fact, I'm spending $2 more than I need to, or $1.50 more, right? $3.50 versus $5. Like, in the world we live in the sales world we live in, we're like, oh yeah, I'm saving money. You're not. You're spending $1.50 more than you would if you just bought the one headband, and you're saving yourself a lot of not dealing with clutter too. So that's it for today when we're talking about Backstock. I hope that this inspires you to live in a calmer home without all of that extra Backstock taking up space and becoming clutter or going to waste, whether it's food and all these different snack ideas, or it's arts and crafts, or it's what's under the sink in the bathroom or in the kitchen, all these different kind of consumables that are in our house. To really consider when you're trying new things, when you're buying in bulk, or when you are tempted to buy a set when you really only need one thing. Just keep that in mind, that Backstock is often a huge culprit of clutter in our homes. So next week, we are bringing on another guest. I tend to do every other week, solo and with a guest. And next week, we're going to be talking about making unconventional choices in order to live a more intentional life. And that's a really, really, really fun one. So I look forward to having you next week, and I'll leave the guest as a little surprise. So talk to you then. You just listened to an episode of Paring Down with me, Shannon Leyko. If you enjoyed the show, it would mean the world if you can leave a review wherever you listen and share this episode with a friend. Those reviews really are what keeps a podcast on its feet for the long haul, and I will read every single one with a huge smile on my face, so thank you ahead of time. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, be sure to follow along on Instagram at Paring Down Podcast, where I offer lots of tips and inspiration for paring down, along with what's new here on the podcast. Till next time.